is difficult to understand. It may well be the concept of faith. And yet, as our children's sermon this morning opened the possibilities, so much about faith depends upon the belief in ourselves, the belief of others in us, and how it is that we are able to lean on God in those times, those moments, those places where we are enormously challenged in our lives. It was not hard for our young people to see the line 2 or 3 feet apart here and to jump from one line to the next, because they knew they could do it. They believed in themselves. They knew that was possible. But when the question was asked about leaping across the entire chancel area, there was an instant response: no, we can't do that. Yet, there are a lot of times in our lives when we are asked to do things and suddenly the doubt wells up inside us. We feel overwhelmed. We cannot summon the courage. We feel like surrendering because we know the challenge is too great. Yet, within the memory of our living, there are so many occasions when we know that doors have opened. Wisdom and insight has been granted. Questions have somehow been answered, and the possibility of doing things that seemed overwhelming is suddenly very real. Why not? Why not try? Why not give it everything I've got? And maybe, just maybe, this is God's desire, that I do this thing which seems so daunting, so impossible, so overwhelming. Do I need to have a little more faith? It's interesting, as I was thinking about faith this week, another passage which speaks of faith came to mind. And it's a passage that we've all heard on many occasions, and some of us have even memorized portions of it. It's 1 Corinthians 13. And in the very first verses of this chapter, this reading, Paul is speaking about the 3 things that enable us to live fully, live meaningfully, and these will be familiar words. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am no better than a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. The power of love. There have been so many times in my life when I doubted myself. And I thought, I can't possibly do that. Or I'm in a situation that absolutely has no solution. And my wife, my children, a good friend will say the right words. And those words communicate that he or she believes in me. You can do this. Why are you doubting? You can do this. And it will change the whole situation. And why do they say that to me? Because I've been blessed with their love. Their love, which is real, profound, and deep. And I think in a way, Paul is saying something to us that is a hallmark for living that I've kind of missed for a lot of years. I haven't really realized how significant love is to faith being actualized. You think about the demands that are placed on you and the fact that there are those times when things happen in your lives when you fall into depression and despair, and that's real. None of us is immune from the casualties of living. In fact, our opening prayer this morning talked about what happens to people, and it seems like life can be enormously unfair sometimes. I have good friends where I feel like my life is so blessed with good events and good things going on almost 99% of the time, and it seems like they're always running into a brick wall. They're always stumbling over something that's a very real thing in their lives, a health crisis, a job crisis, a situation that they cannot control, a relationship issue. And I sense the unfairness of it all. And they become angry with their life, sometimes angry with God. And I often will have someone sitting in my study saying to me, "I'm sorry, Dean, but I am really angry at God for allowing this to happen in my life." And people are often shocked when I can say back to them, there are days when I'm angry with God because I think something incredibly unfair has happened to someone. But the thing I'm sure about, and this is where my faith kicks in for me, is that I trust that if I lean on God, even when I'm angry at God, that God is going to be aware of what's unfolding in my life. I trust that God is never going to forget about me, or abandon, or walk away, or leave me alone. God is aware. And why is God aware? Because of God's love. Love is this incredibly powerful emotion that is absolutely real and abundant. It's like you think about our children and our grandchildren and nieces and nephews, and every one of us, if they asked us to help them with something, would pitch in. A friend, will you help me? We try to give help. And why do they ask? Because they trust us. They trust us to help, to pitch in, to guide, to maybe listen, to offer an answer, to reflect with them, to share a moment. We're there even though sometimes we feel very inadequate. We are there because they trust us. And that's what faith is all about. It is the ability to trust that we are never alone. And it is the ability to know that when we have got to get from here to there, we don't have to do it all by ourselves. That someone, a friend, God, somehow will get us from here to there.